Good morning, guys. Welcome to Shlog number 12. It is a Saturday morning. It is bright and beautiful here in Montrose, Colorado, but this time of year, that means it's cold. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's stinking chilly. And that means that probably not a lot is going to be going on at the shop today because it's winter. People are hanging out, doing winter things, not so many dirt bike things. And yeah, so it'll probably be kind of a slow, might be a short video. You never know. You never know how the day's going to turn out. Got a few things to do, and might kind of do some work on the shop. I've been meaning to get some things done. I need to take apart one of my lifts and fix it. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But again, I just want to say congratulations to Ricky Brayback. I know he's never going to see this, but Ricky, great freaking job on the Dakar Rally. I am just blown away. That's so cool. And yeah, guys, I really hope you like these episodes. It's really fun for me to shoot this all day and kind of have a camera pointing at me all day long. I don't know. I like it. I hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments if you like it. Also, let me know what I can do to make it better. I don't know what there is that I can do better for you, but if you let me know, I will sure try to make it a better Shlog for you. And if there's any specific kind of tech things you want to see, let me know. I don't know that I can force it. I'm just kind of filming this as the days go by, so you know, if you've got a specific bike that you want me to work on, maybe bring it down. That would be actually really cool. If any of the local people or even not local people want to make an appearance on the Shlog, that would be awesome. Or if you don't want to make an appearance, but you want your bike to make an appearance, that would be really fun. So let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys that way. Also, yeah, have a great day. I'm going to take the back way to work and kind of just relax and listen to some music. So we'll see you guys in just a bit. All right, we made it to the shop. We're here. We're ready to rock and roll. Got some stuff pushed out. Shop's open, ready to go. But I was thinking about something. You guys have probably noticed this thing hanging in the ceiling in all our videos. And if you're like me, you think that thing looks really cool. So let me just tell you a little story about that motorcycle. It is a 50cc Indian. Right on. So yeah, it is a 50cc Indian, but it's not a stock 50cc Indian from back in the day. It is a custom built motorcycle that was made by a guy's dad. So let me tell you the story of how and why it's here. So a friend of mine who lives in Lake City, his name's Gabe McNeese. Gabe, if you're watching this, your motorcycle's still hanging in my shop. Anyway, we'll get to that. So Gabe brought this thing down to me and said, hey, man, can you get this thing fixed and running? I'd really like to have it running. I'm like, well, let me look at it. So the motor's locked up. It's missing parts. It's missing the top triple clamp. It's a really old bike, right? So I looked at it. I'm like, dude, I can't get parts for this thing. We could make parts probably, but that's going to cost $1 million. You ought to just hang it on the wall and like have it. And he tells me the story of it, right? It was his bike when he was a kid, and he was racing out in the Californian desert back in the 70s, and he was just crushing the competition, and he was starting to crush his motorcycle, and he was just completely outriding the bike at the time. So his dad built him this thing completely from scratch. I mean, there's shocks and forks from other bikes and stuff like that, but he made the frame, he bolted everything onto it. Check this thing out. So look at this. He made that kicker. It's completely custom. It doesn't have a front brake. It's a spindle front end. The thing is absolutely awesome. So his dad, check that thing out. American mini cycle. The thing is just super cool. So his dad makes this motorcycle, goes out in the desert and just starts absolutely killing it, wins a ton of stuff. It's a super, super great story, right? The bike gets stolen at some point, and I don't know when exactly that happened. And it's gone, right? Bike's gone, never saw it again. Fast forward to when he's like 40, I think. He finds the motorcycle on like eBay or Craigslist or something like that. He finds the thing for sale, goes, buys it, gets it back. He didn't accuse the person of it. It's been so long that, the guy that had it was not the person who stole it. So he buys it back, gets it, and, brings it down. So he brings it to me to try to fix. I say I can't fix it. Well, that was like 9 years ago, and I have not heard one peep from the man. I know he's still around. He's not dead. But I don't know what happened. So I hung it up, and it's like the coolest thing in my shop, honestly. Other than maybe that XR650, which is mine from racing the 1000 back in 06 solo. That's not as cool as the Indian, but it's cooler to me. But yeah, so that's the story behind the Indian. It's super cool. It's just a really, really neat bike. I'll give you one more kind of look at it here. And I know I'm probably gonna get comments. You guys are gonna say, "Well, you should fix it and get it." No, you don't want to ride that thing. It's too freaking cool. Like, if you broke it, you'd feel horrible. Then you have to go find parts again or make parts again. So I think it's cooler hanging in my shop. If Gabe, if you ever watch this and want it back, it's yours, dude. But if you don't, thank you so much for letting me have it and at least display it to the world. It's super cool. All right, I got to get to work. All right, if you guys watched yesterday's Shlog, you saw that I was doing the WR250R forks. I still got one left to do, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm not going to go in-depth. If you want to see that video and check it out, I'm going to put a card right up here, and you can check out that full in-depth video on doing the fork seals and new springs on those forks. But spoiler alert, it's just like an old-school open-chamber Yamaha, which I love, by the way. It's great suspension. They are 46 millimeter, not 48s, which is kind of funky. But I'm sure it's a lot less money than the 48s and all the new SSS stuff. So it keeps the price of the bike down, which is cool. So yeah, I'm going to do that, knock that thing out real fast, get those done, and then call that customer so he can put him back on his bike. So as soon as the weather gets nice, he can go ride. Even my bikes aren't immune to problems. Oh, the front brake of this thing's been spongy for a while. And I'm tired of it. It's not horrible. I can definitely ride it. But since I've got the time, I'm going to go ahead and bleed the brakes. See if I can't get it working good. I don't think it needs any parts. Hopefully it's just a bleed. Now, I've got at least a couple videos on bleeding brakes here on the channel, and I'll put cards up here for those so you can check those ones out. But let me just show you kind of real quick, since this is just the normal daily Shlog. I'll show you kind of the real quick and dirty how we do it. One of the keys for me is the syringe, right? Because for these brakes, these Brembo brakes, which are definitely the best brakes in the business, but they do get air in them and have weird, like, they're kind of hard to bleed. Having a syringe to be able to force fluid into it and then up to the top is absolutely key to make it work. So I like to get a syringe, hook it up on here, and then zip tie it to the fork so it's up above, so that if bubbles come out, they can't get sucked back in. That works really good for me. I like to use, let me just show you. I like this stuff, RBF 600 from Motul. It works really good I'll put a link in the description for that. It's just, it's good high boiling point, brake fluid normal .4, which works in all the Brembo stuff. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bleed these things. I'll hook this camera up so you can kind of watch a little bit, but like I said, link in the description for the other videos that go more in depth into bleeding brakes. Oh, good day at the shop today. Real slow. Not a lot of customers coming in. That's kind of normal on a Saturday during the winter. Especially, it's cold outside right now. It's like 30. I know that's not really very cold ambient-wise, but it kind of feels wet, and it's just gray, and dude, it's been cold. Got the brake spread on my bike, and got the forks all done for the WR, so that's cool. And now I got to drive to Fruta to deliver a motor. I sold an old LT250R motor to a guy who's picking it up in actually in Granite Junction. So I'm going to drive up there, and if I come up with any awesome stories, maybe we'll have another story time while I drive up there. And then tonight is Supercross, so I'm super stoked. Have some friends over, going to watch some Supercross. It's going to be awesome. If I think of any good stories, I'll tell you guys another story before we sign off. Gonna head out. So let's have a little story time before we end this episode of the Shlog. It actually ties in perfectly with the last little story I told about meeting Johnny Campbell. So that same night that I met Johnny Campbell out in Mexico, on the Baja Peninsula while I was pre-running, I got done with that evening of pre-running, and that put me into San Ignacio, which, if you know where that is, that's awesome. About halfway down the peninsula, and there's a famous restaurant called Rice and Beans. It's super commercial. It's not the cool place to go, but it was the only place open when I got there. And so I rolled in to have a beer and wait for my guys, because I actually beat my chase crew there. So I pull in, park the bike, go inside, order a beer, and I'm hanging out. And this is no joke. The door flies open. Like, it's like seriously like an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer comes sliding in. Door flies open, and in walks Travis Pastrana. And I'm no joke. I'm the only dude sitting like within a pretty big area. I'm sitting right in front of the door, and there's no one else really close to me. Throws the door open. He's like, "Hey, have you seen Cyril Dupre?" And of course, my brain starts to overload because there's Travis Pastrana, one of my heroes, and he's asking if I've seen another one of my heroes, Cyril Dupre, one of the super rad rally racers and off-road guy, like super, like has done the car a bunch of times. Anyway, Cyril's a badass, and so I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I haven't seen Cyril Dupre. And he's like, oh man. I'm like, my name's Morgan. He's like, hey, I'm Travis. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. I mean, he's just super, super nice guy. And I'm like, I'm a big fan of yours, dude. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, what are you doing in Mexico? Are you racing a car? Because this is 2007. So this is after his really off-road racing was done, and he had started racing rally cars. And I was like, are you racing a car now? He's like, no, I'm here, I'm gonna solo the 1,000. I'm like, oh wow, right on. Now here comes the coolest part of the story for me, and this is not a lie, swear to God this happened. So he tells me he's getting ready to solo the 1,000. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, I did that last year. And he looks at me, he's like, did you finish? And I said, yeah, I did. I finished. It was pretty cool. And he says, dude, you're crazy. No joke. Highlight of my life, Travis Pastrana told me I was crazy. Oh, and it was awesome. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of nuts. I'm like, what are you racing it on? And he's like, oh, DRC 400. And I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, what are you... Really? Suzuki couldn't come up with something better than a DRC 400? He's like, no, man, it's awesome. It's perfect. But I don't want to go any faster than that thing goes down here. This is so scary. And I'm like, right on, man. And I was like, that's okay, cool. I'm like, well, I haven't seen Cyril. He's like, oh man, I gotta find those guys. They loaned me some gas. The KTM guys came by me in the middle of the night. They gave me some gas because I was out, so I gotta go say thanks. Oh, right on. You go have a good one. So he takes off, and I'm like totally starstruck. I don't normally get like that, but the guy's totally a hero, and he's freaking Travis Pastrana, right? I mean, it's a big deal. So super stoked. That's awesome. Fast forward to the day of the race. I'm waiting for the bike outside of Bay of LA, and waiting for our guys to get there. And here comes Pastrana, dude. He comes down this big set of whoops, and the course comes out these huge whoops, comes out, hits the pavement, and turns and goes down to Bay of LA on the pavement. But here he comes. He hits the pavement. He turns, and the coolest thing I've ever seen. He turns on the pavement and wheelies his Baja bike with this huge light on it, out of sight. It was so awesome. The crowd that was there, because there's a ton of people there since it's a road crossing, and there's a bunch of people changing bikes there, so there's pits there, and he wheelies out of sight. It was so freaking cool. It was just awesome. But anyway, there you go. A little short story time. I'm going to sign off. I got to drive up to Grand Junction, and then after that, I'm going to watch Supercross with my friends. Hope you guys have a great day. I really hope you get out and spread the gospel of two wheels. And please, 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 please find some time to ride your dirt bikes!